Basically, I've been gone for probably like over a year now, and I'm finally back. So this is the first video back. There is more. I have them already recorded. I just need to edit them, and then obviously they'll be out every week. So please look forward to them, watch them. Sorry I was gone. Okay, let's go. So as you can see, we're playing Planet Zoo again because I really love this game, and we've already made the pathways. This is a zoo that I've been posting on this channel quite a bit. We've already done the pathways, and we're going to buy ourselves red-crowned cranes and just look at their requirements, see what they need, and build them a nice habitat. So I ended up choosing to build the habitat right over here, and I also decided that I wanted to make it a little bit more interesting. You'll see what I mean by that as we go. So the idea was to build kind of like a higher up platform area. I tried to get it as central as possible, but then I kind of realised that it didn't really matter because there's other tools for that. Then I just started to smooth everything out and going along the bottom as well, just to make sure it looked as nice as possible and as natural if I could get it to even look natural. Next, I just made it so that the platform was grass and then added in a guest gate so that people can walk into the habitat. And then I started to add these stairs going up to the higher platform area. I ended up doing quite a bit of messing around with the staircases because I just couldn't get them exactly how I wanted them. Eventually I did settle for this and then began to add in some invisible pathways just so that the guests can also come off the pathway and walk around the actual enclosure. Of course, I had to add in some hygiene stations, and then I could start on the shopping area, which was going to be up here. I once again did some messing around with this because I couldn't get it exactly how I wanted it, and then I ended up deciding that this was okay and it was the best I was going to get, so that's how it looks. And of course as well, the animals need a shelter, so I ended up just building it myself and making it out of these rocks. So I added these flat rocks at the back, and then once I was satisfied with the flat wall, I just made it a little bit more so that it looked a bit more natural and added some different size rocks to make it more textured and more layered and stuff like that. Once I was happy with it, I just made the roof and the walls if there was anything more I needed to add to it, and then it was complete. So I just added some bedding and then moved on to feeding and enrichment. I ended up adding a lot of feeding and water stations because I knew that I was going to have quite a lot of animals, because I had also decided that along with the red-crowned crane, I also wanted some Japanese macaques since you can put them both in the same enclosure. So for this bit, there's not really a whole lot I can say other than I just went on the tab and started looking at what I could put in the enclosures. I also tried to get all of these wooden climbing frames. I tried to find a way to kind of add them all together so it looks like one big climbing frame, and then just kind of scattered everything else where I could, because it's probably not going to be seen that much once I've added all the trees and the different terrains and just everything else. I then changed my mind and decided that I wanted to have kind of like a moat going around where the shops would be. I just thought it would look really cool, so I started outlining that and moving all the items away so that I could put water in. Then I added in the water and just kind of smoothed out all of the stuff on top of the platform, just to make sure it all looked nice. Then I bought all the animals and started to put them in their new enclosure. And this is how it looks so far, and next I could move on to doing the shops. So I tried to pretty precisely get it to be lined up perfectly with the edge of the path. It wasn't always going to be perfect, but I just did the best that I could and hope that it at least looks okay. I ended up messing around just a bit to add this toilet in to make it look decent, and then added in a few more shop buildings. Once I was almost done, I found out that the animals were starting to come upstairs into the shopping area, so I kind of needed a way to stop them from doing that. Next, I started changing the terrain just so that the habitat was perfect for the needs of the two animals that I used. I also had to add some coolers just so that the snow would actually show up and not just melt away. And I also just had to check that the animals could get access to the water, because sometimes if there's too much of a slope, they can't go in and out, so it doesn't register that you've put water in the enclosure. I know that the water does also look really dirty right now, but that's because I didn't put in the water treatment thing yet, which I do that later on, so don't think I forgot about it, because I know that when I first started playing, I kept getting really dirty water and didn't know how to fix it because I didn't realise I had to put those in. But I do know about them, and I do add it in later on, so just excuse the water for now. Next, obviously, as you can see, I'm just putting in a bunch of trees. I've chose filters based on what the animals like and what they can have, and then I'm just putting in the amount that I want to put in, and also without exceeding their limits. So as you can probably tell, I don't really have like a pattern or anything I was really trying to go for. I was kind of just putting things in and seeing what looks nicest. I'm no pro builder. I know that there's some great Planet Zoo YouTubers out there. I'll put a couple of my favourites on the screen. I am none of them. I literally just play this game for fun and because I love animals, so like making my own zoo is amazing, love doing it. I just do this for fun. I'm no pro. I wish I was, but I'm not. And obviously for safety reasons, if we're having people come up onto a pretty much cliff, we need to have some barriers in place so that nobody can run off behind the shops and fall down into the water. Obviously, you know, it's a game, so it's not that serious, but come on, let's just pretend that I'm building an actual zoo just for the fun of it. You're also really going to have to bear with me when it comes to building these fences, because it was never going to look perfect. I also didn't have the time to sit there and mess with it until I got it completely perfect, because sometimes the controls for this game, they're fine, but sometimes for the stuff that you're doing it can be kind of tedious and annoying. But just try not to focus too much on the fences. It was never going to be perfect. It doesn't really affect anything because you don't really notice it anyway, so just, yeah, pretend you didn't see that. I also decided that I wanted to add some trees and small plants and small bushes just around the outside of the fences to make it look a bit nicer, cuter. I don't know. I didn't want to just leave it bare because it looked weird like that. I also ended up deciding that the pathway was too dark. It didn't really blend in as nicely as this one, so I changed it, and it definitely suited it a lot better. When you zoom out, it looks a lot nicer, a lot cleaner, a lot smoother. Just overall, I enjoyed this pathway better. So then, obviously, I just added in some glass so that people on the outside of the enclosure could watch the animals eating and stuff like that. Then I tried to add in the food and drink stalls and gift shop stalls and stuff like that. But then I realised I couldn't place them on the pathway, so I ended up having to remove the pathway underneath the shops and do it that way. It was a whole nightmare. It was so annoying, but eventually I got there and managed to get it done. I also had to then go along and add all of these into the work zone, just so that obviously people will work for them, and so that the maintenance people will fix anything that breaks, like these ATMs that I'm putting in. Then for the final touches, I ended up just adding in some bins, so obviously we don't want people to litter, and some table and chairs just so people can sit down and eat. Then I added in the donation boxes and the education boards just so I can say what animals are in the enclosure, and it also obviously helps with education so people can read about them and be more informed. I did also add some more bins around the outside of the path, just so I didn't have to do it in the future, because obviously people love to litter, so at this point you may as well just have bins absolutely everywhere. Then I put in some more benches just so people can have a place to sit down, because that's one of the things they like to complain about, is that there's nowhere to sit. So I just added those in between all the way around the paths, and that was it. I really didn't like how bare this little corner was looking because I couldn't fit another shop there, so I ended up just adding sorry if you can hear a cat bell in the background, we have cats. I ended up just putting this little structure in just to make it look, I guess, a little bit nicer for guests. And now we just get to watch the animals roam around and enjoy themselves. But yeah, so this is the finished, completed enclosure. I'm happy with how it looks, you know, for my building capabilities. I think it looks fine. Happy with how it turned out and what I did for it. I wasn't sure if my idea would work, but I seem to have pulled it off pretty well. Obviously, someone out there could have always done better. I don't know why it's kind of laggy here. Maybe because I unpaused it, I'm not sure. But yeah, this is how it looks. I think I really like it. And hopefully you do too, and hopefully I'll make more enclosures in the future. I know I've been gone for ages, and I'm trying to be back now, but I am really busy. my next few videos coming up are not Planet Zoo, but after I've edited those videos and scheduled them to go out, once they've all come out, there will be more Planet Zoo. I don't know when, but there will be, and I should be going back to regular uploads now. I'm trying my best to do that, so bear with me. Sorry if I miss a day. Some of my family have been asking me, when are you going to make another video? And I've never had an answer, so I'm trying. Okay, bye.